And action.
Néil, welcome. Wasa iyatee, how are you? Chlinge chenach, stisha yucha duasag, Gleidka, Marseeya, Gleidka chenach, Marseeya, yucha duasag. In Tlingit, I am called Stisha. In English, I am called Marseeya. You guys get to be my little practice people for my Tlingit that I'm learning. It's kind of hard since I've migrated so far from my homeland. Don't get to hear it every day, see it every day. So I'm trying though. So thanks for humoring me. I know you guys don't have a say in this because I'm just doing it and you'll either watch it or you won't, but thanks anyway. Good cheesh. So we are on to stage 3 of this series that's showing on Danny Collins lithics and leather. This is stage 3 of the rock tumbling. We just finished up stage 2. I'm kind of excited because I get to show you guys the vibratory tumbler that I use. And these rocks right now, they're all clean. After they finish stage 2 in the round tumbler, I took them and washed them. When I washed them, I dump them out just in a colander strainer over a 5-gallon bucket, rinse them off, and then I put them back into the tumbler and I add some borax and I add some Dawn dish soap. I usually just add like a probably about 4 tablespoons of the borax and then just a squeeze, I don't know how much Dawn dish soap, just a squeeze, just whatever looks good, and then water over that, and I let it run for a good few hours. I'd probably say 4 or 5 hours or so. And then I go through the same thing, rinse them off and everything in the colander. If it looks like it needs to be run again, then I will run it again. These ones look good. I only needed to do it the one time, rinsed them off, and this is what they look like. You really want to rinse them off good, especially rocks that have crevices and everything like these. You want to kind of clear all the grit out of them. You want to get the grit cleared out of it because if you have the previous stage grit in there, it can end up kind of ruining your polishing. So the cleaning between the stages is really important. So these are ready to go into the vibratory tumbler, but before we talk about that, we'll just talk about some of the rocks that we had been following along during this series. So the first ones here are the ones that we heat treated, the Crowleys that we heat treated. We'll include a picture of those. So that's those ones there. And then we have the little mushroom cap here. That's coming along really nice. I like that one has that red in it.
That's pretty cool.
Here's the other piece of Crowley's that had the banding on it. That one's coming along really nice. So that one's going to look good when it's done. We have our other, I love the Crowley's has so much variety to it. This is the one that had the bubbles on it and a little bit of red, so that one's looking really good. And then we had the one that looked like it maybe was a bone or some knuckles there that had the red in it. It's holding on to the red. I thought it was going to kind of disappear on us because it's not as much as when it started, but it's holding on to it, so that one's looking good. We have the piece of Crowley's that had the hole in it, so this is our Holy Crowley rock. And then we have our little piece here that I had said it was gonna hold on to some of the ceramic media, and then another little piece of rock that got into it. It's holding on to it, so that's going to give that piece of rock just a little bit of character to have that built in there when it's all tumbled, because these will polish up really nice and shiny even though they're embedded in it.
Some of that Crowley's is really colorful. There's a few pieces in here that is really nice right there. Pretty neat. Beautiful stuff.
And then we have our agate here.
Brazilian agate, yep.
Yeah, Those pieces look good.
They're gonna be pretty.
And then we have our Keokuk here.
Yeah, that stuff looks so cool when it's tumbled. It really is a great tumbling rock.
And then here was a couple pieces of Mookite that we have here. And then here's the one that had that cortex. Now that we're getting basically to the stages further along, that little piece of cortex probably will stay, because this is basically like a pre-polished stage here. This is stage 3. It's a pre-polished stage. And then this was the rock to be determined. Think it might be Jeff City, but not too sure. So that one is a really nice, interesting rock, though. It has a lot of just different character to it, so that's nice. And then here was some of the glacial till rock that we were following. Those are coming along really nicely. Looking forward to seeing them when they're done. Those are those 4 pieces. We had shown in the last video some of the glacial till rock that we done that was really, really nice. And then we just have a mixture of stuff here. We have this alabates right here that's looking good. And a lot of these pieces in here were just scrap pieces that were thrown in. So they're looking really good.
This is a piece of that Crowley's Ridge. Really neat stuff.
Here's the one that kind of looks like it has like a star on it or an eye or something. That one looks really cool.
Now this looks like a piece of Nethers. That is a piece of Nethers Flint Ridge right there. Very nice. Okay.
And then we'll just talk real quick again. This is the ceramic media. I think in the last video I said MJR is where I get it, leaning towards that one. That's the one that I prefer. And then also polyplastics. The polyplastics, just to not be confused with the plastic media, polyplastics makes a ceramic media. So this is a mixture of the MJR and the polyplastics ceramic media, and they sell them in 2 different sizes, or you can get the mixture. You use the mixture so that you have not all the same size pieces, just for moving things around in the tumblers. And then this is the tumbler that I switch to once I get to stage 3. It's called the Tumble Vibe, and this is the Tumble Vibe 10. This one, I think I usually put in there roughly about 6 pounds of rock is what it ends up holding. I have it pretty full. Of course, it can't go up above there. So I'm kind of limited.
Where's a good place to buy that tumbler? Is Kingsley North usually? Is that where they have them?
That pretty much anywhere. I mean,
Anywhere?
You're just gonna search. I mean, you can get it on Amazon. You get it on Kingsley North.
Okay.
You're just gonna need to search for prices.
And look at that right there. It's made in the USA.
But as I mentioned in the last video, I like going direct to the manufacturer. So you have your choice of what you're going to do. So I've liked on some of these things that may need maintenance or may need to follow up with warranty or anything, or if there's just any issues, any questions on it, I like going direct to the manufacturer. But you can, I know I've seen it on Amazon, I believe I've seen it on Walmart, seen it on Kingsley North. There's a bunch of places you can get it. And this is called the Tumble Vibe 10, but it's made by Raytech. So when you go switch to the vibratory, you're going with 1 pound of grit. And this is stage 3. They all actually have a grit, but different companies have different grit. So not all stage 3 is going to be the same grit as this one is. The grit is listed on the side here. So I just recommend kind of paying attention to what you're using and making sure that you're progressing in the right direction. You want the grit to get smaller as you go up in it.
So I wonder what grit that is there.
It's listed on the side here.
I don't know if you all can read that or not. 500 fine silicon carbide. So it's 500 grit. I would say, yeah. 500 grit.
Yeah, and stage 3 can, you know, just depending on the manufacturer, be anything. It could be 600, it could be 400. So I do mix. I don't have all of the same company for all my stages, but like I said, you just want to make sure you're progressing in the right direction. And when I initially got it, I had 4 stages. This was pre-polished stage, and then stage 4 was a polished stage. I take mine further than that, so this is a pre-polish. My next stage 4 is going to be another pre-polish for me. And then I have a bowl that's specific for basically the gray grit. Once I switch to the white grit, I have a different bowl that I use. And I know this kind of looks messy and everything, and it is, but this comes apart, and so you want to make sure, because it vibrates, you want to make sure under here is nice and tight, not loose. The last time I was running some, it got loose under there. I forgot to check it and make sure it was tight, and the bowl kind of came apart. It sounded loud. It got moved out of the shop outside. My son told me he was being woke up where he was sleeping, so it was going through the camper and everything, so it woke him up. So it was a little bit of an inconvenience for everybody, and it's because I forgot to tighten it and make sure that it was nice and tight, because it will shake the sugar tree and shake it hard. But you want to make sure everything's tight, because it will just be an awful mess. You'll get stuff sloshing all over. It'll come out the bottom. So you want to make sure that's tight. You want to make sure to have the rubber washer. This all comes with it when you buy it. The rubber washer on there, the washer, and then the nut on there nice and tight. And then you fill it up with your ceramic media and your rocks, and this is actually going to be broke up into a couple because they won't all fit in there. Once I get to the vibratory tumble, it does go a lot faster, but this doesn't hold as much as the round tumblers do. So I am going to step over here and grab a bucket of stuff that I have left over from my last stage 2.
So how long does it run in the vibratory for each stage?
I'm going to get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
Here's some of my rocks that are left over in stage 2. It's just a variety of rocks, but they're the same hardness as these. So these have been waiting to go in for a couple of weeks. So they're going to go in here. I didn't have enough to run a batch, so I had to wait till I had more. So that and this combined is going to make 2 separate runs in this. When you go on to stage 3, I run stage 3 anywhere from like 5 to 7 days, just depending on how the rocks look. Usually my work schedule ends up being about 7 days, unless I have a day off in the middle of the week and they look good. They look like they're ready to go on. So that's usually about a week, which is a lot faster than in the round tumbler. And then that's the longest stage in the vibratory. Once you get to stage 4, that's probably about 4 or 5 days. And then when you get to stage 5 and stage 6, those are like 2 or 3 days apiece. And I like to combine my stage 5 and stage 6 unless there's some really, really special rocks that I think can just go on to have a little bit more polishing. But usually combining the 5 and the 6 into one run of about 3 days, they get nice and really shiny. And here's some finished rocks that you can see. These are all ones that were combined 5-6 instead of separating the 5-6.
That Jeff City is pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, and then
So
I had
so is
some-
the amethyst. The amethyst is fantastic.
Yeah, I wanted to show the amethyst, and I mean in the vibratory, you get some
Y'all,
really
y'all
big
look at these.
pieces.
She picked these pieces up over there at the Renegade Ranch, Nap End, just out of the road there, and they're really nice. Lots of color in them. Very, very nice. Just beautiful. She was picking them up, and I was looking at them going, I don't know, that don't look like much, but boy, they sure turned into something.
Okay, I wanted to point out some of these bigger pieces. I mean, when you look at them in here, they're taking up a pretty good size, but they do tumble in there, and you can have the bigger rocks in there. And these ones actually all came out of the same batch, so as you can see, I had quite a few bigger ones in there, had a bunch of smaller ones in there too, and they all went together, the flat ones, the bigger ones.
That's a piece of alabate.
So the main thing is just to have variety. And as you can see, most everything came out really, really shiny, pretty pleased with it. And then I have this one piece here that I was so excited about and just had really, really high hopes for it. It was called a Chinese writing rock. And it was just coming along. So when it got to like stage 4, it looked like this. And I was expecting it to come out like everything else and was going to have those, just all of that character in it. And I thought it was going to be nice and shiny like that. And it actually went through a couple times of the stage 4 and then the stage 5. And this is as good as it gets. So it still looks nice. Still going to be something to talk about. But, I just expected a lot more from it, but we were going to go back and try to find some more of that, but now we don't really need to. And we were talking about that, thinking that as you see that plug in it right there, let me zoom in on it, see that plug in it right there, those things were popping out in the middle, so it just had to keep on starting over, so that's why I think it just didn't really take a really good shine. And
How much grit and stuff do you use when you're...
on the vibratory, when you go down to 1 tablespoon per pound. So this is going to get 6 tablespoons. The rocks and the media are going to go in. I still put media, just like I said, to have the variety and have things moving around in there. I put in 6 tablespoons in this. I put one of these scoops of borax here, and well, I actually do about half a scoop, and I believe that's 2 tablespoons. So I do about a tablespoon of that, and that's just, we have a shared space, and so sometimes my really noisy tumbler needs to go off, and adding the borax in with this, it just keeps the grit from clumping up in there. Even sometimes it'll be turned off for like 4 or 5 hours and go back, turn it on. As you can see, looking at the rocks, it hasn't seemed to have hurt anything, but definitely adding the borax has helped so that it just keeps things moving nicely in there. And so that's 1 tablespoon of grit per pound of rock, and it's 1 tablespoon of the borax for the load, and then water just to cover it. On the vibratory, when I first started doing it, the stuff I had read said just enough water to just cover the rocks, and it's just going to look like it's just going over it. You don't want a whole lot of water. Keep an eye on it. And I tried that, and that turned into pretty much an absolute mess. If you have the time to babysit your tumbler and go look at it, you know, quite often throughout the day, that probably would work for you. It didn't work for us.
Because it just turned into a thick sludge, right?
Yeah, it turned into a thick sludge, and I actually stopped going. So it kind of, there wasn't enough water. It just kind of, the thing was vibrating still.
Apologies for that. Our little dog was having a fit.
Okay, so I was saying if you have the time to babysit your vibratory tumbler, you can use less water, just enough to just coat the rocks and watch them tumble. I prefer to put enough water over it that I can just go and check on it just once a day, make sure everything's going, tumbling the way it's supposed to. And so I put more water on this than I actually do in the vibratory tumbler. We're gonna have to pause the video, get this all together and everything, and get this moved out into that shared space because this is too loud to do
in the
in
round
the house.
tumbler. You put more in that than you do the round tumbler.
Yes, if I misspoke, then yeah.
Okay.
So, all right, so we're gonna pause here
Okay.
and we'll get this set up.
What's so funny?
Oh my god.
We're back.
You're funny.
Yeah, well, I'm filming too.
All right, we are back. Okay now?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so I have the stuff in there. Those are the rocks. They're just going to be mixed in with those other ones, and that'll make another batch. So as you can see, I have the rocks in here, have the media in here, have everything nice and tightened up on there. And then I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of the grit. Alright, and then I'm going to add, I believe this is a 2 tablespoon little container, so like I said, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of the borax into that. And then this takes just about 2 of these things of water to fill it up.
Was it about a 16-ounce water bottle, something like that?
Yeah. And it'll take a couple. And like I said, I put just a little bit more water in this than I do in the round. And we may need a little bit more. I'm going to put this on and try it real quick and see. So that looks like it's gonna be enough water in there. I may add just a little bit more just for good measure. And this is gonna run anywhere from like 5 to 7 days. As smooth as these rocks are and everything, I expect they're probably gonna be good for going on to the next stage, which is stage 4. Probably was today's Sunday. Probably maybe by Thanksgiving Day we should be able to switch these over, so that's nice. And then you want to make sure this lid snaps in place. These are all things I did not do when I very first started. I didn't snap the lid in place. First time I went to check on it, I had a muddy mess all over the place, all around it. And then you want to get this on there nice and tight too to hold it in place. And so basically I twist it until I think it's tight enough. Make sure this doesn't move if you go to do that and that doesn't move, then it's usually tight enough. And then I give just a little bit more on it because you don't want the grit leaking all over the place. I really like the clear lid on this because sometimes in the morning I just go out. I mean, the water does slosh up, so it does get kind of mucky there. But if you take a flashlight and you kind of hold over and look, and I usually check on them every morning, just make sure everything is moving good. And then I'm just always so excited at this stage that I'm looking for certain rocks going, oh, I wonder how that one's doing, and just watching it. So I really like having the clear lid on this. There are some vibratory tumblers that don't have clear lids, so you can't see them. I'm sure they work great. This just happens to be the one that I got, and it came with a clear lid, and I like that feature of it. Sometimes when I got the week going and it's really mucky, I just stop it, take this off, and clean the lid so that I can watch it when I go in before I go to work. So it's safe to say that I really like rocks. One of the things that I love about tumbling rocks, since I do work in the health field, I used to always like to give candy to little kids. Not that I don't give them candy anymore, but it was always kind of an awkward situation. Like sometimes if I was handing somebody, asking somebody, hey, can your kid have some candy? You know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know, I probably should be trying to do something else, promote something more healthy, since I am in the health field, you know. Sometimes in my mind, I'd be like, oh, here I am, you know, possibly giving candy to somebody that may be a diabetic in the future. So yes, that's the kind of stuff that pops into my mind. So I've kind of replaced the candy with giving out polished rocks. There are a lot of kids that really enjoy rocks. I enjoy having the kids come see me at work, and, you know, I've seen them and I'm like, hey, guess what I have today? You know, and I might tell them I have an amethyst, give them a little amethyst or the crowleys or the mookite, whichever I may happen to have that day, and give it to them and tell them, now you go home and you read on it, and the next time you're here, tell me what you learned about it and everything. And those kids remember it. They come back. Some of them, you know, teach me something when they come back. But rocks just make people happy, so I enjoy doing the rocks. Just in case you were wondering what I was going to do with this plethora of rocks, that it seems I may never have enough time to finish tumbling all of them, I'll find the time. And then one thing I'm excited about is I found some crafts to do to make some gifts to give out for Christmas. So I'm excited about doing that, and I hope they turn out the way I think they're going to turn out. But yeah, I found some fun stuff to do with the rocks to make gifts for people. So
Well, good deal. I appreciate you sharing this with us, and I guess we'll pick it back up at stage 4 then.
yeah, we will see you next time, and I just want to say Gunis Chish, Hat Iyatee. Thank you all for coming to watch and see how we tumble our rocks.
All right, appreciate y'all watching. Y'all keep tumbling. See you next time.